Today I wanted to talk about using ritual oils. I have a bunch that I just grabbed from my collection of ones that I make, and I wanted to go over some of the ways in which these can be used, because I do get a lot of questions about them from customers and things like that. So these are some of the oils that I make, and all of the ritual oils that I make they have different intentions and purposes to them and different types of uses. So, there's no one single like love oil. They're more specific to different areas in which someone would be doing a love spell, for instance. And there's a whole variety, from things from banishing oils to stuff that you would use for like hexing and cursing, to things for protection, things for money drawing, luck, etc. I probably have, at this point in time, maybe about 50 oils up on my site. And I do have some also. I've been working on a series. The most recent one I did was the Lilith Ritual Anointing Oil. So how I make these oils is they're an infusion within a carrier oil base. Usually I use fractionated coconut oil. Sometimes I'll use different ones in the process, like sunflower, olive oil, etc. Because sometimes sometimes certain recipes you would want to use a particular type of oil. Like I know in my fiery wall of protection, traditionally that's used in like an olive oil base. So each oil has an intention to it, and all of the herbs and essential oils that are in there and infused are part of that intention, and the energy that I put forth into them also mirrors that intention as well. So, but that's not to say that, this little bottle, this is a protection oil, it is what it is. I mean, you can add your own energy to this too when you're doing any type of ritual or spell work. So you're amplifying it in however you're using this. So now a protection oil and some of the other ones, and it's going to depend on the safety and also the smell. Some of the oils are going to have a little bit more of a perfumey smell, so you might be more comfortable wearing those as a perfume or anointing your body with them. Others, like the banishing oil, the black arts oil, because of the sulfur in them, they're going to be really stinky. So you would really want to use those on very specific things, like if you're doing any kind of candle magic or stuff or like on petitions that isn't going to be somewhere. I wouldn't do it on a petition and put it under your pillow, because you would be smelling that kind of noxious sulfur smell. So they all have different aromas. Some of them are more perfumey. Some of them are a little more general. I don't remember offhand what the protection one smells like. Yeah, this one, I can smell a little bit of basil in it, but some of them are just a little more what the herbal infusion kind of smells like. And not all of them are going to be like the Come To Me oil is one of my favorite oils I make. And that's something in the sort of love spell spectrum. I wear it as a perfume because I just love the aroma of it. Actually, I ended up making a soap based on it as well. But so that's a little bit of what you want to think about with the intention of each oil and the work that you're doing. And there's plenty of, YouTube videos and websites where you can go and look up, different spells and things like that. So I'm not going to kind of go over that aspect of it in this video, but primarily the ritual oils are used a lot in candle magic. So this can be done in a couple different types of ways. One, it's usually good. Different methodologies and different practices will be like, okay, you put 9 drops of the oil on the candle, or when they're talking about dressing a candle, that just means you're adding oil or herbs to it and things like that. Semantics. So usually what I'll do, sometimes, there's no harm in, let me just grab it. I use a lot of 7-day candles, so you can just carefully kind of, put a couple drops in that way. Or if you want to be more specific, I have these little plastic pipettes, or you could get like these little droppers as well. So if you wanted to put in a specific number of drops, you kind of just do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just empty that in there. So that's one way that you can use spell oil. I use a ton of 7-day candles. This one is a good luck one. It's almost empty. So that's one way. And you can also combine herbs with them as well. And just keep in mind when you're adding herbs or any kind of powders or things like that, that sometimes, that can kind of cause the flame to get a little, I wouldn't say out of control, but, it can, kind of get a little, the flame can become a little extra. What else? One thing to keep in mind too is when you're adding, especially to like a jar candle like that, or even something, like this that has, this is a candle I made for myself, but something that's got like, that where the wax will pool, is you don't want to put so much oil in, because sometimes that can sort of make the wick go out or hard to light. So that's one thing to keep in consideration. Now, some of the oils have different colors to them, and sometimes that occurs naturally. Sometimes certain plant materials, the oil will draw a little bit of color from them. Or if you're adding something like dragon's blood or alkanet root, that's going to give it kind of this natural red color. And this is the Lilith oil. Now with the Lilith ritual anointing oil, this one can be used on your body. So usually what I do is I'll just kind of go boop, and maybe take a little kind of dab, a couple spots on the body. What you can also do with it, and it's a little bit out of frame, so let me grab my Lilith statue, is you can use it to anoint the statue. So, and that you want to be a little more careful with. I mean, it might be easier to do, put a little bit on your hands and put it on there, or even use something like a paintbrush or the dropper, so you can anoint your statues with, an oil specific to them. Or if there's a type of working, like if you were doing, working with Lilith for like a protection spell, you could use the protection oil on her as well. Put her back here. So, now other types of candles, I'm not going to thoroughly demonstrate this because I didn't bring stuff over here to wipe my hands down with. But sometimes what people will do is they'll put the oil in their hands, and then they'll, really kind of massage it into, especially if you're using like a chime candle or any kind of taper candle. You can do it with pillar, like sort of more pillar type candles like this as well. But again, you want to look at the safety precautions on it, because sometimes you'll want to wear gloves, or what it smells like. So like if you were using a banishing oil or the black arts oil or a doom oil, you definitely want to wear gloves, especially because the doom oil has a lot of toxic stuff in it as well. And also the sulfur is going to make your hands stinky. And that's a hard smell to get off your hands. Trust me. So that's for mostly what I use with the candles. Now, they can also be used for other objects as well. Some people will, this is a bloodstone. Some people will like anoint crystals with it, with an oil. So if you're using, I'm not the world's greatest expert on crystals, but if I had a black obsidian that I was using for protection, maybe I'd put a little bit of protection oil on that, and then you can, put that wherever, whether it's on your altar, on your headboard, in your purse, wherever. Just, somewhere. Obviously, it's got oil on it, so you don't want it to make a mess. Or, you can wrap it in something like a piece of cloth if you wanted to put it like under your pillow. So that's another way you can use ritual oils, is you can anoint crystals with them as well. And sometimes you do want to look at the particular type of crystals, because some of them have different toxic properties to them. So you wouldn't want to put them in like water or oil or things like that. Or if you do, just be very careful with it. So that's another way that you can use it. Another common way, I do a lot of petition papers when I'm doing personal spell work. So I just took a little piece of parchment paper. So what I would do is, I'd write my little petition on it. You can anoint the corners of it, put some herbs in it, fold it. A lot of times I'll put it under the candle, or if you're, in addition to, the petition paper, which you can put in, like if you're doing a mojo bag or something like that. And this just has different herbs and crystals and things in it too, as well as, there's a piece of pomegranate in it. Like the petition paper. So you can also use it to anoint mojo bags if you're doing that kind of spell. Another thing, a lot of people do like container or jar spells. This is an old honey jar that I did. And a lot of times what you do is you'll burn a candle on it over time. But when you're doing a honey jar, you can also put some of the oils in the honey jar. Some other people do like sour jars or things like that if you're doing more defensive work or stuff like that. And, honey jars can be done for, you could do like a love spell honey jar, like to sort of sweeten someone's feelings towards you, or like reconciliation if you had a fight with your friend, or for money drawing. There's a whole array of things that you can do with a honey jar. So I just wanted to make a quick video, just sort of give you some instructions. And, on the website, I have a little blurb about, and whether it's, if you're looking at it on Etsy or Amazon, it's sort of, what the purpose of each oil is. And sort of the suggested use of, you can use it to anoint crystals, mojo bags, dress candles, things like that. And some you can wear on yourself, some you can't. And a lot of them have different aromas to them. Like if you're doing candle work, the aroma of it doesn't matter as much because it's not really going to overly affect the spell work of the candle. But if you're looking for something that's more of an anointing oil to wear as a perfume, then you're going to want something that smells a little nicer and stuff like that. So, and lastly, while, some of the ritual oils you can wear, they're not meant to be ingested. You could put a couple drops in like your bath water if you wanted to have a ritual bath or something like that, but they're not meant to be consumed in any way. So I always like to make that distinction. So anyways, that's just my little spiel on how to use ritual oils. Hopefully you found this helpful, and don't forget to click like and subscribe, and thanks to my Patreon members for their support. Have a wonderful evening.